up to the same old fight, chasing shadows in the night. Promises made, but I let them fade. Caught in the cycle, I'm feeling betrayed. Round and round, I'm losing ground. Trying to break free, but I can't see. These negative patterns are haunting me. Nights turn to days, I'm losing my way. Thought I found peace, but it's led me astray. Chasing the high, but it only brings pain. The more I run, the less I gain.
Hey everybody, hey, and welcome to another session of Tarka Said Again. And I know you see this beautiful lady sitting with me, Miss Yvana Hepburn. And
Hi.
she is, let me slow it down for you. She
Okay.
is a two-time Hall of Famer. Yes, and she's gonna get into the deets for us.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I met her at an actual pro league bodybuilding event a
Yes,
couple of months back, and she won her division.
that's right.
And so she has some other things that she
Hmm.
wants to share with you all that I feel will be definitely beneficial because we've been doing this sports series. And hey, I'm going to turn it over to her because not only the sports, I know she's going to talk to you about this coaching and this
Yeah,
confidence because
that's right.
one thing she told me, she was like, "Oh, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready."
You remember that?
Yes. So listen,
Oh
she's
my
going to
gosh.
elaborate on all of that. But first,
Yes.
let her give us some background on who
Yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
is.
Yeah. It's always easier when you
Welcome.
let somebody else praise you, but I'll just say this in short. My life has been one of a champion's life. I have been multi-time champion for so many different things in my life, but yet alone this summer we met in bodybuilding, and this has been my first time ever jumping into a new career, a new sport, and a new industry. And I told her that staying ready is one of the biggest components when it comes to life because I was already guaranteeing myself, because I made a decree when I graduated with my master's, that I was going to live a healthy, active, fit lifestyle, no matter what, and God
Mhm,
bless it. And so, with
mhm.
that, when you're in the practice of establishing a pattern and a behavioral pattern at that, and disciplining the body to stay ready at all times, you can jump into multiple things, but at the right time, you can excel in ways that, I mean, I didn't even dream of this summer looking like this, let alone
Mhm.
doing bodybuilding. So, with
Yes.
having such a heavy and strong athletic background, right before the 2016 Olympics, it shifted and deferred my dream. I had dreamed so long to make it to the Olympic Games since the third grade. And sometimes in life you have to pivot, okay? But
Yes.
pivoting through pain is a totally different world. And I'm not going to go too deep on that, but just know that I have been through the fire, I have been tested, I have been tried, and I am pure gold and still remaining pure gold.
Love it.
Thank you.
T, clock it, as the kids
I
say.
just learned that. What, like, I'm going to keep it. Our
Listen,
generation, we're just different.
they are on it. Like,
They
Miss,
are.
you T.
I'm
Oh,
like,
Miss, I
what?
like
I like the sound though, like, but it's okay.
it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And just hearing what you said as far as having that heavy or that strong background or that
Hmm.
athleticism, I'm
Yeah,
sure that was key because that helped build that foundation for you
that's
to
right.
be able to pivot and go from the track and field to
That's
the
right. That's
bodybuilding.
right.
So, as far as the way you ate, the way
That's
you
right.
trained, you
That's right.
conditioned, that's
Hmm.
definitely important.
Yeah.
And kudos to you
Thank you. Thank
having
you.
that strong foundation. Could
Yeah.
I ask
Yeah.
who helped pour back into you as
Oh
far as
man.
building it? Like, who had a part in this?
Yes. So where do I even begin? Of course, God. That is my first and firm foundation.
Yes.
My family as well. They believe in me so much. They push me and encourage me. A lot of within my family are high achievers, right? So we
Okay.
have my brother's NFL athlete, my other brother scholarship athlete. So it's very athletic driven, right? And very performance based. And with
Mm-hmm.
that, we kind of all supported each other's dreams and our goals. And my mom always was huge when it came to really pouring into what do you want to do? Because I have so many talents. And thank God she gave me the room and the space to explore them
Mm-hmm.
all. However, track
Mm-hmm.
and field happened to be the one I just took off with, coming from New
Mm-hmm.
York, got a full ride to Florida and then started training. And that was it. It was just like I had one goal, one vision, and it just I mean, but you always have to have that strong support system, those people that you could trust, those people that you can count on that has your back, those people that's like, hey, I'm sore, like help me, like, pick up the
Yes.
pieces if you can for me because you can
Yes.
do so much by yourself. But if you want to go really, really far, you got to have the village. We know that saying.
Definitely. The
Hmm.
village, the support, and I'm glad you
Yes,
touched on
ma'am.
that. Definitely important. And
Yeah.
Mama also gave you the DNA too.
The DNA. Thank God for
Yes.
DNA. Okay, that plays a
Yes.
major factor. Both mother and father. Thank God for that. My father's 6'4", and it's just interesting how sometimes, like even when I was younger, I didn't want to be as tall as I was. But I
Okay.
noticed that when you understand and accept how you've been built, how you've been packaged into this world, it is a force to be reckoned with because that's where your
Hmm.
confidence develops. And so
Exactly.
right when I ended
Embrace
track
it.
and field, y'all embrace it. And I didn't always, many of us don't always embrace the things that other people might target and say make you different, right? So being tall made me different, being lean made me different. And I just took that as, okay, I'm ostracized, but what can I do with that? Like, what are they actually whispering about me that might lead to legacy and my destiny? And so I
Hmm.
started realizing, like, okay, you need tall women when it comes to runway. You need tall women when it comes to modeling. And so I started pivoting and listening to those voices that would make fun of or not understand or appreciate how it's packaged. And then I started understanding that if I look at each thing and listen to really what they're saying, and then take my talents and maximize those, put those on platforms, there you have even more purpose. And so, right after
Yes.
the 2016 Olympics, I went right into the entertainment industry. I became a student of the game, an apprentice first, always. And then I conditioned myself to learn what it's like to strip off an athletic identity that's been ingrained since I've been in third grade and then start
Hmm.
to realize like what does it take to grieve that side of my life, and then how
Hmm.
can I maximize what God's already put in front of me, but now I can focus in a greater way because I don't have that athletic prowess always on my back, right? And
Hmm.
so it just took me from film to commercials to bookings. And I say all that to say that many athletes and many people in general will lock in and hone in on one thing that they're good at and stay with that for life. But I challenge so many of my clients and even audience that if you have multi talents or skills and abilities, don't be afraid to move one aside and really focus on a bigger scope of all of who you are and start mapping out your life with, like, I would like to accomplish this with this gift. I would like to create a business with this gift because all of those can increase the foundation of your purpose.
Exactly. And it's almost like you're building upon what you've already established. Okay, you
Right,
had
right.
the athletic portion, but you were able to,
Hmm.
like you say, the coaching part, get
Yeah,
some money, and we just keeping it plain and simple, get
right,
some money
right.
over on this end with speaking, get some
That's
money on
right.
this
That's
end
right.
with coaching
Yes,
or
yes, yes,
mentoring.
yes.
Like I believe, and that I'm totally there with you because
Yeah,
I feel like you should not just focus on one particular thing. It could be your foundation,
that's
but
right. That's
let's
right.
build from it. Let's have multiple
Exactly.
streams. And they can
Yes.
all tie in together. But if in the event something happens to where you're cut
Pivot.
for the team or whatever the case is,
Happens all the
okay,
time.
well, let me take this microphone
That's
and let
right.
you know
That's
what I
right.
mean.
That's right. That's
So
right.
listen, you have those athletes and they feel like their career is over. They
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
into a stage
Depression.
of depression. Um,
100%. Been there.
correct.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
can't get out of that rut. So
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that you're bringing that out.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. It took a lot of work, but you got to do the work, you have to. You can't skip that part because, like you said, many athletes have suffered through depression, unfortunately, even further than that, suicide. And when you're
Mhm.
locked in on one thing and you're praised, let's talk about that. So, when you're extolled for one thing that you've been doing your whole life, or maybe you jumped into the sport and you became really good at it, and people start applauding and applauding, applauding, that fuels the flesh, right? But it doesn't necessarily fuel the spirit of the soul. That is a fleshly
Mm-hmm.
thing to feel that.
Right.
But when it stops, that's what people don't talk about the most. What happens to the mindset that's been conditioned and framed for praise? And then when you're injured, I was injured, multiple athletes are injured. When you're cut, my brother was cut from NFL team. When you're pivoting and trying to figure out like what's next with my life, you get to a point where it's like, okay, how do I even function? Because all I'm used to is the praise of man. But when you start doing
Mm-hmm.
the work and applauding yourself for just making it, how many people go to the NFL? How many people go to the Olympics? How many athletes out there even go pro, even go get a scholarship? So when you think about all these benchmarks, you have to do the work as an athlete to be content with just doing what you did and it's enough. And we're in a
Yes.
culture, even in the industry, where it's never enough. You got to keep going. You got to keep doing more because there's always somebody that's going to do it better. And I
Yes.
always say, like, let them do it better, but also don't be afraid to grieve the loss once it's time and be okay with all that you possibly did with excellence because something else could be greater for you with a greater
Right.
audience as well.
Exactly. So going back to this Hall of Fame, as a Hall of Famer, I can't let that go. So, what does,
Yeah.
for you personally,
Yeah.
what does being inducted into the Hall of Fame mean to you personally or professionally?
Okay. Personally, it was nice to be seen. And being
Okay.
inducted to the Hall of Fame twice felt like I was seen, I was honored, and I was respected with excellence for all that I did. Now, just as fast as I got inducted and then inducted again was just as fast as I let it go. I can't tell you how many accolades and medals, and they just sit there and collect dust. Because I found that when you do the work, to immediately have that self gratitude and applaud yourself. It's okay to move from that so I don't get stuck in that become my identity, right? That's a
Yes.
staple. That's a benchmark. That's something that I have credibility in, right? But then when I pivot and say, okay, cool, now what's next? It gives me the freedom so I don't feel stuck in that label, if that makes sense. So I know another Hall of Famer might feel completely different, but
Yeah, and that's okay. We're entitled to our feelings, our
that's
experiences.
right.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
definitely. So, because you mentioned about mindset, what
Mm.
training or mindset habits separated you from the other competitors because you are obviously at top level?
The differentiation and separation has been the foundation that I've laid a long time ago in God. And so I
Okay.
rooted in him. He was my audience, audience of one. I don't really need everybody else. It's cool that they're there to support, but as long as I please him on this earth and as long as I maximize the gifts, skills, talents, and abilities that he paid for me to do, I win. It doesn't matter who agrees and who doesn't agree. That's my conviction and strong conviction in the Lord. And that's really the differentiation I've noticed because a lot of athletes and a lot of business owners and a lot of professionals, they'll go into life and it'll be all about them. It'll be all about what they achieved and what they earned. And it's like, me. But what happens when those things crumble? What happens when those
Yes.
things rust? Come on now.
Yes.
So I particularly have just moved into the phase of if God approves, then it's done. If God said, well done, I'm good. I really don't need the praise of man.
I love that. The final words, you don't need to praise a man. and
Yeah,
and and, and meaning mankind,
that's right.
because one may think you're talking about the other sex, but no, mankind, whether a
No,
man
no, no,
or a
no. That's
woman.
right.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I
Yep.
think that's key because we don't want to put someone on the pedestal because
No.
we can disappoint. we
All
we
the
can
time. That's
disappoint
right.
or
That's
be
right.
disappointed.
That's right.
The fact that you are putting him, you
Yeah.
say God,
Yes.
we all refer to him differently, but I say the
Mm-hmm.
creator of the universe, the one who
Period.
made us, you know what I'm
Master.
saying?
That's
And the
it.
fact that
Yes.
you giving him credit, you giving him
Yeah.
glory.
100%.
Because you said that should be number one in
Mm-hmm.
all of our lives, all of those facets
Right.
of life.
Right. Right.
um
Right.
because a lot of times, I think that's why sometimes things don't pan out the way you want it to be because you're not
Exactly.
communicating with him,
Yeah, yeah,
and we can
that's
go
right.
on and on.
And we sure can. And sometimes with him, things don't pan out. There's so many things that I've been through trials and tribulations where it's like, God, that's
And you're
not what I
right.
expected.
Right.
You know?
But the fact that you have faith that no matter what, whether it pans out how you want it to or
Come
not,
on.
you know
Yes,
it's going to be
yes.
in the best
He's got my
interest.
back. Yes, every
Correct.
time, every time. And
Exactly.
even, we met through the bodybuilding industry, and that was a total God thing. This was something that I ran away from for, I think, 15 years. Just always heard, your track and field, our bodies are optimal when it comes to the look, right? The aesthetic of it, the
Hmm.
muscles. You see a track athlete and you're
Hmm.
like, you're ripped, like it's just known.
Right.
But many
Right.
athletes don't cross over into bodybuilding. It's just a totally different world, right? And I have had a continual voice or voices over the years kind of whisper to me that I could be very successful. I could be a champion. I could be great on stage. And I wasn't comfortable with that. I'll be honest. I was not comfortable with certain classes, divisions. I was like, no, that's not for me. And if it ever changes, maybe. But as for me,
Hmm.
I'm good. And as we have a mutual friend, Dennis, it's so awesome because he happened to be a communal neighbor and he was always just seeing me run my dog and walking and always exercising every single day for about 2 years straight. And he
Okay.
would whisper with little seeds, hey, you'd be great at this. Hey, I got a show coming up. I was like, good for you.
Say good for
So don't
you.
for me. Until one day, I watched a movie called Magazine Dreams with Jonathan Majors. It is one of the most phenomenal movies. It's very
Okay.
trivial, but it shows and exposes the mindset of a bodybuilding athlete, the mental health, the decline, the increase, the pressure, the privilege, but then also the curse. Like there's a lot in this industry that most don't disclose. But from what I watched, I had my own personal conviction and experience. And I literally heard the voice of God say, will you do it for me if I open the door? I was
Wow.
like, what?
Wow.
But I don't want to expose myself in that way. Track is different. I can be in a bikini and a tank top and run, and I'm done. I don't have to be
Yes.
judged on it, right? But
Yes.
it was
Yes.
for its glory. So once he said it, I was like, this is bigger than me. So if I selfishly say I'm not going to do it because I don't feel comfortable, do I trust him? Do I
Yes.
actually walk in faith or do I just dead him and say, no, I'm not doing it? So long as you know that I did it. And
Yes.
it came with much experience with hearing his voice, knowing his voice, and the amount of athletes' lives that I've touched and that have touched mine in an industry where I didn't think that was possible. It's very vain. It's very to yourself. Very, you have your teams, but imagine how many people don't have a team. I didn't start with a team. I started fresh. I did 2 weeks of training because Dennis was like, do my show in 2 weeks. And I'm like, I can't be ready for that. And he's like, there's a new
Uh-huh.
division, fitness model, you'd kill it. And I said, God, if it's possible, if it's at all
Yes.
possible for me to do this, then you're
Yes.
going to open the door. You're going to show me how to train. You're going to show me how to be even more disciplined and get on that stage and kill it because I'm not going to do it unless you bless it. And the rest was
Yes,
history.
you took the first step and he took care of the rest
Yes,
of it for you. And we talk
that's it.
about on this podcast about obedience often. And you were obedient to that
Key.
small, still
Yes,
voice. And
yes,
that's
yes.
why you received or saw success. I believe
Yeah.
definitely in that and just in listening because my book, Addictive Patterns, and I've shared my book with
Mm-hmm.
you briefly with these patterns, all of the
Mm-hmm.
different things just in our conversation, things that you've done to be successful. And we talk about
Right.
how it thrives repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Addictive patterns thrive
Mm-hmm.
repetition,
100%. That's
whether
right.
it's
That's right.
positive or negative. And it seemed
Correct.
like for you, it's been more positive. And
Yeah.
you did kill it up there on that stage and just your
Thank you.
smile is magnetic, you know what I mean?
Oh,
And
thank you.
not
Thank you.
only your
Thank you.
smile, the confidence that you exhibit, that can do
Yeah.
something to a person that may be down or feeling a certain
Yeah.
way or
Yeah, you're right. You're
uncertain.
right.
You know what I mean?
True.
So you're
True.
definitely making impact on
Thank you.
individuals, as you briefly
Mm.
mentioned in your own words, but I
Yeah.
can see that because just in us, our encounter, I was like, yes, I need to interview her.
I was like, oh,
Yes,
no.
yeah. But yes, in your testimony, I did hear some obstacles that did take place.
Oh,
Examples, you saying you getting hurt, those type things, but you didn't let it stop you. you
That's
kept
right. That's
going,
right.
and you found success in another career.
Yes. Yes.
However, in final words, what
Hmm.
would be some advice you would give an individual, whether it's
Yeah.
the
Easy.
youth
Yes.
or an
Yes.
adult?
Yes.
What is it
Yes.
that you would finalize and say to
Yes.
encourage them?
Whether it's the youth, child, adolescenthood, collegiate athlete, professional, in business, it doesn't matter what you do. I would say these three things. Number one, respect the pause. So sometimes in life, a lot of people do not like to be benched. They don't like to sit down. They want to be busy. They want to be making money. They want to be TikTok's finest. They want to be beep, 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 beep. But what
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
when that
yeah.
stops? Respect the pause, because the pause has taught me more in how to cultivate myself, my life, and do the inner work and healing than ever before. A child can do it, an adult can do it, an elderly person can do it. So respecting the pause. Next one, knowing how to pivot, because your purpose is manifold, right? You can be in your purpose at one job and then also be in your purpose serving the community. You could be doing both.
Mhm.
You could be in your
Yes.
purpose on one team and not on the other. So it really depends on what God has for you. But what I would say is, even if the person or individual doesn't understand their purpose, that's what coaches are for. That's what I do for a living as well. Help guide athletes to that confidence, and to any individual, to be honest, to understand what unlocks their purpose so they can maximize their platforms. But respecting the fact that when you pivot in life, it is not a negative thing mostly. So if it's supposed to increase your destiny, right? Being able to pivot is okay. And I think
Mhm.
granting people the permission, that's the second thing. I grant them the permission to pivot and know that it's okay in life to do that. Have respect for that, because if I had not pivoted and locked in on track and field the entire last 8 years, I would have been a disservice to God. I would have been a disservice to about six different new communities in business and sport and everything that I was doing. And I would have
Yes.
lost my identity that was already evolving, if that makes sense. And then the
Yes.
third thing is to hold things loosely. You could be a champion, you could be a hero, you could be a firefighter, you could be an athlete, you could be a bodybuilder, you can be whatever you want to be. But the thing about it is, don't hold on with a grip so tight that if something does happen, if something does pivot, if bankruptcy happens, whatever it is, that you don't have the ability to say, you know what, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
all right.
And let it
It's
go.
all right. So many people can't do that. They don't even
Yeah.
understand the principle of giving yourself grace and holding things loosely. But those are my top three. And I really do hope that your audience can grasp that and utilize that to change and transform their life.
Okay. She gave us three nuggets. The first one, she said to respect the pause. Number two,
Respect it. Yeah. Don't be
pivot.
afraid to pivot when it comes to purpose.
Yes. And then the third
Yeah.
one, you said, I want to say, let it go. Be okay with letting it go. But what you said, something loosely,
Yeah. Hold it loosely and give yourself grace.
hold it
That's it.
loosely. Yeah. We have
Hmm.
our one, two, and
Yes. Yes,
three.
ma'am.
Thank you very much for that advice. And if you can give them your
My pleasure.
tag, where they can reach you, find you on your handles,
Yeah, of
please.
course. Yeah. Of course. So my handles, LinkedIn, IG, anything. Ivana, Yvana, and I'm sure she'll drop that as well. Hepburn, but you could put Ivana, Yvana, H. It'll pop up. You'll find me if you need more guidance, if you need coaching, if you just want an ear to hear you, I got your back. So please contact me. Thank you, my love, so much for this opportunity to speak and inspire lives. It just fulfills my purpose. So thank you for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you very much for saying yes to the interview. I appreciate you and I wish you
Of
well
course.
and much more
Of course.
success in everything that you have going on. And don't forget about me. And for those that's tuning in and listening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeart. You all have a good one.